Travis Wayne Goodsell, as I was uploading the trying to kick me out of New Jerusalem, Mormons trying to kick me out, comparison with Lehi leaving Jerusalem, I was reminded, as Mormons call it, revelation from the Holy Ghost, that Mulek also left Jerusalem with a group of followers. Mulek is the Hebrew word for king, Melchizedek, Melek, Zadek, high priest, righteousness, and I remembered that his story is one of interest to the Exodus of the latter days. And the list that I made the other week about the number of different possible scenarios for the latter-day Exodus needs to include this as well, which corresponds with Moses confronting Pharaoh and leaving with Mormons to the Promised Land. And so if you don't know, let's see, now King Mosiah caused that his people should be gathered together. This is Mosiah 25, which is the first instance of the name Melchizedek. Now there were not so many of the children of Nephi, or so many of those who were descendants of Nephi, as there were of the people of Zarahemla, who was Smith Sr., you're awesome, who was a descendant of Mulek, and those who came with him in the wilderness. That's Moses. That's the symbolic comparison to Moses leaving during the destruction as Babylon comes in, destroys Jerusalem. And as this is 9/11, this has direct connection. Even though this is fiction, designed specifically as prophecy for the latter-day man like Moses, has direct significance. And Mulek. So, I have to take care of a program real quick. Mulek is the name for king, with a different vowel adjustment. And I don't think they ever get to, I'll have to check and confirm, indicating that he's a son of Zedekiah, but as his name is Mulek, and he led the people out of Jerusalem, and there is a passage in Jeremiah that suggests that not all of Zedekiah's children were murdered, assassinated. Yes, that's what happened to Zedekiah for his disloyalty being the puppet president on the throne of America. I mean, Jerusalem. But like I said, it's unclear as to whether today is the day for it, or if we've got the 3 days of darkness period of time here to work with, as the third day of darkness isn't until 2024. However, Trump's wanting to push up the election now, or push back the election. Push up or push back? He pushed forward the election, as I saw TYT doing a breaking news story of also. We have City of Mulek, so thus that was Mulek City. City of Mulek, 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 City of Mulek. This is all the war stuff, by the way. And Mormons complained, oh, there's too much war. There's a reason for it. Oh, it is. They do say it. They confirm it. Mulek is the son of Zedekiah. In Helaman chapter 6. Oh, isn't that a familiar passage? 6:22 to 25. And so, yes, now the land south was called Lehi, and the land north was called Mulek, which was after the son of Zedekiah. For the Lord did bring Mulek into the land north, and Lehi into the land south. So, yes, there's the confirmation that I was looking for. But when they found the people of Zarahemla, we need to not do Mulek, but Zarahemla. Let's go back, search, people, Zarahemla. Okay, Omni. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Land of Zarahemla. And they discovered a people who were called the people of Zarahemla. Now there was great rejoicing among the people of Zarahemla, and also the people did rejoice exceedingly because the Lord had sent the people of Mosiah with the plates of brass, which contained the record of the Jews and the record of Joseph. They leave that out in that passage. Okay, let's go to Omni 14 here. And so, yes, Ezekiel 37, Mormons. And read before that passage. Don't just go to your scripture mastery and go, oh yeah, the stick of Joseph, stick of Judah, they become one. That's the Book of Mormon and the Bible in the quad. A quad. We have a quad, and we need no more quad. No! We don't have the brass plates. I have translated portions of it for you. Yes, I have. But it is not completed. There are too much distractions going on for me to complete the work. So yes, I know exactly what Joseph Smith went through and why he didn't finish the Book of Abraham and never got to the Book of Joseph, except for facsimile 2, figure number 3, which he inserted from the Book of Joseph into the hypocephalus. He discovered that the people of Zarahemla came out of Jerusalem at the time Zedekiah, king of Judah, was carried away captive into Babylon, and led by Mulek, the son of the king of Babylon. Now this is important to understand, because was Moses the literal firstborn, birthright, blessing son of Pharaoh? No. Who dies? Moses? No. The firstborn, birthright, blessing son of Pharaoh dies during the coronavirus. The succession ends. No more Church of Jesus. No more Pharaonic dynasty. No more American presidency. As Trump already is dabbling with tampering with the election again, like I said, we've split government and religion. Pharaoh was one and the same. He was Melchizedek. And thus the Melchizedek to whom Abraham paid tribute, not tithes. He had conquered the kingdom that had kidnapped Lot. And so he went and conquered the king, freed Lot, and Melchizedek then receives tribute from Abraham from the spoils of war. That's what really happened there. It was not tithing. And let's see. Okay, and so, yeah. And so Moses, Prince of Egypt, right? Born into the house of Pharaoh through the queen, not the princess. Princesses cannot be allowed to raise children without a husband. They have to be the queen. And thus the house of Pharaoh raised Moses. And so it was not the first wife of Pharaoh. The first wife of Pharaoh is the one who has the firstborn birthright blessing son and legitimate direct heir to the throne of Pharaoh. Moses was through a second or third or fourth or fifth or sixth or seventh or eighth or ninth or 10th virgin wife. Polygamy, harem. But that's why they had harems as kings, because if the firstborn birthright blessing son, if the first wife has a son, dies too early, then you've got other children through other wives in line for succession. Thus, the real intention that the author of the Exodus does not fully comprehend when he's writing it. And so what you have is Moses taking over the kingdom as king. He's Prince of Egypt, he becomes king, Melchizedek. And so here you have Mulek, the surviving son of King Zedekiah of Jerusalem, even though he's the puppet king put in by Babylon, and thus the apostate king, he's still a son of the king. Just like with King Noah and Limhi. King Noah was the bad king. King Limhi was the good king, as he too, oh, isn't that another coincidence? Yet another symbolism of this day. Because Abinadi, who was scourged by faggots, which are burnt sticks, and so cigarettes count also, torches, tiki torches of white supremacists, and I wonder if that's why they used that thing. But Abinadi was murdered for doing what Lehi was doing, for doing what other prophets have been doing, Samuel Elamanite also. And they murdered him, and Alma escaped with a group of people, and then baptized at the waters of Mormon. Couldn't do temple ordinances because he wasn't a Melchizedek. And thus he recognized Abinadi as a Melchizedek and said, we are only going to preach the words of Abinadi. I am not going to preach my own doctrine to you. And so, yeah, then the priests of King Noah, they flee, they find the daughters of the Lamanites, and they were hotties as they were bathing in the waters, and so they kidnapped them and raped them. And they don't mention the raping, but you get the idea that that's what happened. So, yeah, the Lamanites are pissed and blame it on that group of rebel Nephites, or, rebel Xenophites. The same patterns are going on here with an Exodus theme of the latter days, and thus why it was written this way, specifically plagiarizing certain books in the time of the early 1830s for that encoded purpose. And so, So Limhi is also a Moses symbol with an exodus at the time of the destruction of the people of Zenith. And Mulek, a symbol of Moses at the time of the destruction of Babylon. And Nephi, even, right as the destructions happen, before the coming of Jesus to America, where he doesn't stay for the millennium of 400 years of peace after the destruction, which is a parallel to the second coming. He gives the kingdom and the church to Nephi, though we don't really see it as the church, as the government. We just say, you're in the disciples. And then Jesus just leaves. Other sheep I have which are not of this fold, say ya. And he doesn't reign as king. And so again, Jesus fails. But symbolically, the story is not saying Jesus is coming back, but Jesus gives authority to a man like Moses, who survives the apocalypse, destruction of America, New Jerusalem, and end up in Bountiful, the Promised Land, which, if you remember way back to Lehi, the first Promised Land was at the top of the Red Sea, the next Promised Land was Bountiful, as they left the original Promised Land of Jerusalem, which, going back to Moses, the original before Jerusalem was Egypt. That is the source Promised Land. So, sorry Jews, you're undercutting yourself by only wanting Jerusalem. You can claim the whole land of Egypt all the way up to the Euphrates. Let the Arabs have all of the rest of the Middle East. But is that going to happen? No, I doubt it. But again, where's their war? It's here in America, as Trump has declared martial law against America. And so, let's get to some other parallels here. Let's see. At the time, 17. At the time that Mosiah discovered them, they had become exceedingly numerous. Nevertheless, they had had many wars and serious contentions, and had fallen by the sword from time to time, and their language had become corrupted, and they had brought no records with them, and they denied the being of their Creator. That is the plot of the Illuminati, to get all religions to deny the being of their Creator with the destruction of everything, specifically America, but all over the world. And so if you destroy truth, destroy science, destroy the Bible, and if nobody brings records of the people, like the brass plates, which I've begun translating, and so he taught them in the language using the brass plates, taught in the language of Mosiah, which came from the brass plates. Because then you go to Mosiah chapter 1 verse 4, Mosiah taught his sons according to the brass plates, which was in Egyptian. So yes, I've been translating the brass plates. It's not complicated. It was real simple. After I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, then deciphered Egyptian petroglyphs, and then made the connection, hey, petroglyphs correspond with the Bible. I wonder if all stories can tie to an Egyptian petroglyph. Yep, bingo, done. I just never got around to publishing it because I'm so busy trying to warn you as Mormons are trying to throw rocks at me from on top of the web wall. So yeah, fun times in the Book of Mormon. And if you understand what they were writing about, that one day the Book of Mormon will be the most important book, this is why. It's because when somebody comes along and discovers the coding in the Book of Mormon and realizes, hey, this is what they were saying in the Book of Mormon was going to happen in the latter days, but they told it in a fiction story form. Huh. Interesting. So, yeah. So there you go. There's another Exodus version for you. And whether or not that's going to happen today at 1, as the other guy commented was going to happen, I don't know. I personally think if it's going to happen in accordance with the signs, I'm guessing the 1st of August, Saturday. Maybe. I don't know. Anything could set anything off. We do know that Trump, after contacting with Putin this last time around, has withdrawn our troops from Germany. This also helps to confirm that Putin is trying to make a move to conquer Europe. Not just take back the Eastern European nations that split from Russia, as he's been trying to do with Crimea, but he's going for a full-on reversal, like the Nazis did to prevent Russia from taking over Europe. And that's a bit of history we don't quite realize, as Nazi Germany was trying to build a barrier wall against Russia while using fascism to control everybody and take over the other countries, like Austria with The Sound of Music, which is also a movie that brings me to tears with Edelweiss. Maybe I'll put that as the theme song, as I'll be crying at the time I'm uploading. This other video should be ready to go, and we'll end here so you don't see me cry already, because I'm already thinking about it. Climb every mountain, Mormons. We've got mountains to climb. They're over that way, though. The eastern wall of mountains. Will the mountains be split, and then we go through, led by the man like Moses, who will have the brass plates, or at least been working on them,